Hey guys, what's up? Joe, morning coffee. Cheers. Alright, cool shit. Thanks for hanging out with me for a bit. Now, color correcting is something that you're gonna have to do a lot. You know, no matter what project you're doing, no matter how good of a image quality you get from the beginning of your camera, it's just you're gonna have to learn to do some color correction, right? But in this case, what I want to show you is basically what to do when you have footage that the color is extremely not great. Paul did a video. The thing is, he had do something quick just to get some B-roll, and then he just sent it to me, right? So he totally skipped the part where he's supposed to white balance. And it came out like this, very purple, right? As you can see here in the lumetroscopes, there's a lot of purple going on, right? So yeah, he didn't white balance. So as long as you can see it and there's consistent color in the sense of it's not dark, then you can work with it. If it's bright, there's nothing you can do with it, right? So for example, if someone gives you footage and it looks like this, then there's no color information, it's just shadows. There's nothing you can do, right? If you boost it up, it's gonna look like shit. It's gonna look grainy. So you're pretty much kind of fucked in that sense. If they give you something that looks like this, same thing. It's too much light, so everything got washed out. There's no color information, right? But when you get something like this, even though you can see that the color is way off, you can still work with it, right? As long as it looks like this, you're good to go. You're still able to work with it, right? If you're not used to messing around with the lumetroscopes, learn to read it. There are other scopes, say you got the wheel here. Yep, there's a lot of color meters available for you to work with, right? Whatever works for you, there's something available for you, right? For the most part, I use this, right? That's just me personally, because it just shows me how the colors are mixing with each other, and it just makes more sense for me. Simply put, anything that touches the top here, that becomes white. Anything that touches the bottom here, that's black. Those are the shadows, right? So everything in between is basically the color information, right? Your highlights, and your shadows, and then your mid-tones, and then so on and so forth, right? So learn to use a color display that you feel comfortable with and work with that, right? So like I said, for me, I use a waveform. So that's what I'm gonna stick with in this video. The first thing that we see in this information is that there's a lot of blue, right? And that's why we're seeing a lot of purple here, because it's mixing with the reds, because it's RGB, right? Red, green, and blue. So we have a lot of blue, as you can see in the footage here. So you can actually start with using the temperature and increasing the reds. By increasing the reds, you reduce the blues there a bit. We got another meter here, which is a tint. So temperature is more of the color that you get from the lights. Now tint, that's actually what you start to add towards the footage itself directly, right? It's gonna affect it overall. So if I add a lot of red tint, obviously I'm just adding more red, and it turns everything red consistently, right? If I go green, as you can see, more green gets added, right? And a lot of the red gets killed. How I use tint is basically, in this case, I want to counterbalance the red. There's too much red. So by adding green, you're basically counterbalancing the red. All right, some quick color theory. So if you guys seen a lot of the color wheels, they're usually all the same pattern for the most part, right? There's a reason for that. As you can see here, we got the red. It's the primary color. But then you have the green, which is a complementary color. In other words, if you want to counterbalance the red, you can add some green. Then pretty much it kind of starts to cancel each other out, right? Now there's more you can do with the color wheel, and I'll make another video about that. But for the most part, keep that in mind. Pretty much the color wheel, if you click on any of them, they're all pretty much designed the same way. So you got the red here, then you got the green. They're opposite, right? If you have too much red, green can counterbalance the red, right? So if we go back to our video here, that's kind of the reason why our tint is like that. There's a lot of red here, right? Purple. It looks purple, but let's just say it's just red. Then so to counterbalance the red, we can add the complementary color, which is green. As you can see, the red starts to go down more towards a white area. And we want it still a little bit red, but not too much, right? Now reducing the temperature a bit, but I still want to keep some warmth, right? All right, cool. So as you can see the difference, it looks more neutral, right? Obviously this is still dark as shit. So now we're gonna increase the exposure. I usually aim to be around the 230 or 90 area. I'm not exactly sure what these numbers are called, but like I said, if I was to go all the way up, this gets blown out because it's touching the top here, right? We don't want that. So for the most part, I kind of want to be around this area over here. So now that I boosted it up, you can see now there's too much green. So I'm going to reduce the green a bit just to bring back some of the red. Maybe now I'm gonna go with the temperature and I'll go back down a little bit. All right, cool. Reduce the exposure. I'm gonna just mess with it till I find something I like. Add the tint, a little bit more red. The temperature, I'm gonna go down a bit more towards the cool side. So far, so good. All right, that looks way better, right? You can see from that to that. Maybe you can add some more. You can add some contrast. A little bit of contrast. Just mix it with the warmth again. And some. Basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm aiming for like the wood to have a more natural look, right? Also, I'm trying to like make the label here white. So if you look at our color spectrum here, let me see, just this little bar that's green is basically this, the sticker, right? So basically, what I'm trying to do now is that if you kind of see, there's like color information. There's a green bar here, and there's like a purple bar here, right? That's the blue mixing with the red. So what I'm trying to do is I want to get these guys together, because when you mix all the colors together, you get white. Right, so just mess around with it, and it looks better, right? All right, let's go to the curves a bit, just to mess with curves. Now there's still too much red, I believe, so I'm just gonna go in the reds, go in the mid section. I'm gonna pull that down a bit, just a little bit. All right, there's too much, I feel like, green in the white area, so I can actually do the same thing. Maybe just reduce the green a little bit in the mids. Now I'm gonna try to counterbalance everything by adding some blue here in the middle. So basically what I'm trying to look at is the label. I want it to be more white. That's kind of what I'm focused on right now. You can reduce the highlights, you can do the shadows. Now this is, right now I'm just messing around, so I'm just kind of like paying attention to. I'm not really looking over here now, I'm just more of a, trying to look at the overall picture to see how it looks, right? So yeah, you gotta mess with the curves, right? So with the curves, you know, the section in the middle, that's the mids, then you got your highlights, and then your shadows down here, right? So that's pretty much how it works, right? And like, yeah, as you can see, like I pretty much did very slight adjustment until everything was kind of like looks better than it did, right? So if I turn this on and off, you know, it's very slight. If I want, I can increase the shadows a bit more just to brighten everything up. And if you click the mids down, then basically what I'm doing is I'm adding some contrast here. Sounds good. All right, I think that looks pretty good. I'm gonna leave it like that. As you can see the difference, you know, from that, you know, to that, and then like I went to the curves area, and then I just did like micro adjustments until like I find something I like, which is very tiny, right? So there you go. So that's how you go about like color correcting footage that's pretty extreme in the sense of like, you know, not from that. Like I said, as long as it's not completely dark or completely blown out white, you're still able to work with it, right? And then like you understanding how like the color wheels works, it gives you an idea if like, you know, if you do, like I said, if you have too much red, you can counterbalance the red by adding green. You know, if you have too much blue, counterbalance it by adding a little bit of yellow or orange. So if I put this side aside, as you can see here, the temperature, right? We got the blue and we got orange. Like you see here in the color wheel, we got blue and we got orange, right? Because they counterbalance each other, right? Or they complement each other. Same thing with the tint. You got like red down to green. You got red to green, right? Again, so if your footage is too green, add some red. It's too red, add some green. It's too blue, add some orange. It's too orange, add some blue. See what I'm saying? So that's the cool thing about learning this color wheel, right? All right. So yeah, that's pretty much how I go about like color correcting and footage that's extremely not good in that situation, right? So as long as you can see it, you know, if it's not too dark, if it's not too bright, you can fix it, right? And whatever editing software you're using, I'm sure you have plenty of built-in tools for you to like do the color correction needed to get it done, right? If this video has helped you out, you know, there's definitely be a link in the descriptions. You know, if you want to like help me out and hook it up with the coffee, I really appreciate it. You know, that stuff. Leave a like, leave a comment. If you have any questions, you know, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you. Either way, you know, I'm going to continue making these videos because, you know, I enjoy sharing what I know, right? But if you guys are able to help, I'm super happy to receive that generosity, right? Thank you so much. Anyways, that being said, got nothing else to say besides thank you and take care and peace.